I want my kids to be kind and compassionate. I recently took them to the fair, and one of the games was an obstacle course where kids race against each other. My daughter is competitive, so I was wondering why she was so behind. Turns out, it's because she was helping the smallest girl who was really struggling. I was so proud of my daughter, even though she was totally in last place. But that made me think, is kindness a disadvantage? People say you get ahead by stepping on others. Is that true? No. In fact, it's the opposite. Studies show that empathetic kids grow up to be healthier, happier, and more successful. So how does that work, and how do we raise empathetic kids? That's what Unselfie by Michelle Borba is all about. In 2014, selfie was voted Word of the Year by Oxford Dictionaries. It's a sign of our all-about-me world. Studies show that college students are 40% less empathetic and 58% more narcissistic today than 30 years ago. Bullying is on the rise too. It's so bad, one report said 1 of 5 middle schoolers considered suicide because of it. So what's the solution? Empathy. Empathetic kids have a positive impact on everyone. They have more friends and deeper relationships. They can resolve conflicts and stand up for victims. Plus, when they get older, they even get better jobs. It's called the empathy advantage, and Unselfie gives us 9 habits to develop it. Do you know anybody who's a terrible listener? Maybe they can't tell when you're angry or upset. Emotional literacy is how we recognize feelings. It's a skill that has to be learned. There's body language, tone of voice, and facial expressions that we spot. If you want your kids to learn it, you need to have face-to-face time. Have dinner as a family. Have conversations and don't let digital devices get in the way. That's habit 1. Teach emotional literacy with face-to-face time. Next, do you talk to your kids about right and wrong? Parents who raise kids with good morals don't do it by accident. They talk about what they believe and why they believe it. Unselfie recommends creating a family saying like, "We are helpful, not hurtful," to guide kids. Also, be a role model. We're always teaching our kids something, whether we mean to or not. And that's habit 2. Build moral identity and model moral behavior. Next, look for ways where kids can step into another person's shoes. For example, let's say you're reading Goldilocks to your kids. Take the bear's point of view. Ask, how would you feel if somebody ate your food and slept in your bed? Or if you're watching sports, ask, how do you think the players on that winning team feel? What about the players who lost? And that's habit 3. Find opportunities to take different perspectives. So, there's this MetLife commercial about a dad who sacrifices everything for his daughter. I get super emotional just thinking about it. Emotionally charged images in books, films, and even YouTube are great ways to stretch moral imagination. These are excellent topics for meaningful conversation. The key is to find books and media that allow kids to get into somebody else's world. And that's habit 4. Stretch moral imagination with emotionally charged scenes. Kids can be their own worst enemies if they don't have self-control. An important skill is self-regulation. Have kids do mindfulness practice like belly breathing, which is when you breathe with your hands on your belly while being mindful of your body. This promotes self-awareness, which helps kids to step back from tense situations, like if they're getting teased, so that they can think instead of act out. That's habit 5. Teach self-regulation with mindfulness practice. Next, look for ways to practice kindness, like opening doors for others or calling a friend who's feeling down. Then, tell your kids how good it made you feel. The more kids see or experience kindness, the more likely it'll become part of them. That's habit 6. Practice and talk about kindness. Unselfie also talks about the importance of diversity. One example is from Austin, Texas. When segregation ended, there were racial riots in their schools. So they started teaching lessons where kids would work in teams and learn about historical events from the perspectives of different ethnicities. The riots died down and kids from different backgrounds became friends. That's habit 7. Teach kids teamwork and to value diverse perspectives. Millions of kids are afraid of school because of bullying. But did you know that when peers intervene, bullying often stops within 10 seconds? We can teach ways to prevent bullying, like talking to kids about the difference between tattling and reporting abuse. Also, even though kids don't have to step in during fights, they can console a victim after the fact. These lessons teach courage and character, which is habit 8. Teach moral courage. Lastly, Our kids can be leaders. Unselfie talks about 8-year-old Vivian Hart, who set up a lemonade stand to help Nepalese child slaves. She asked people to, quote, give what's in their hearts. She ended up raising over $100,000 to fight slavery, which brings us to habit 9. Don't underestimate your child's ability to be a kindness leader. Now it's time for our rapid recap. If you want your kids to be empathetic, practice these 9 habits. 1. Teach emotional literacy. 2. Build moral identity. 3. Take different perspectives. 4. Stretch moral imagination. 5. Teach self-regulation. 6. Practice kindness. 7. Value teamwork and diversity. 8. Talk about moral courage. 9. Encourage kindness leadership. We can give kids the empathy advantage by teaching them about emotions, providing ways to help others, and modeling the change that our world so desperately needs. Thanks so much for watching. If you're thinking of reading or listening to the full book, check out the links in the video description and remember to subscribe for more awesome content. Do you have other books you'd like me to summarize? Let me know in the comments or connect with me on social media. Thanks everybody, and have an amazing rest of your day.